Imagine a typical morning. On the table is a bowl of porridge, toast with jam, a cup of tea or coffee, maybe something sweet to nibble on. Everything looks familiar, calm, even healthy. We eat as we were taught. Breakfast sets you up for the day. It seems like that's the way it should be. But there's one but. Your heart isn't happy with this kind of morning. Few people know that the first hour after waking up is when the heart is most vulnerable. While we sleep, the heart works slowly, its rhythm is calm. Then there is a sharp transition. We get up, start moving, sit down to breakfast, and our heart is hit with a barrage of tasks. Blood must circulate quickly. Blood pressure rises, blood thickens, blood vessels constrict, and against this backdrop, we eat our first meal. It can either help the heart switch to wakefulness or finish it off with the remnants of yesterday's stress. The problem is that many of us don't see the connection between what's on our plate in the morning and how our heart feels during the day. Fatigue, heaviness in the head, blood pressure spikes, anxiety, all of this can start in the kitchen. Or rather, with what we naively consider a healthy start to the day. Breakfasts that are high in hidden sugars, simple carbohydrates, and animal fats are especially dangerous. It's not always obvious what we're putting on our spoons. Foods are good at disguising themselves. Porridge can be a glycemic explosion. Yogurt can be a dairy trap. Coffee can be a strain on your blood vessels. And all this happens just when your heart is waking up. When it really needs a little gentleness, a gradual start, and light support. Instead, it gets a heavy backpack that it has to carry around all day. Over the years, the heart stops tolerating such things quietly. It starts sending signals. At first, they are barely noticeable. Tingling, shortness of breath, slight tremors. Then they become more serious. Blood pressure rises, legs swell, hands feel cold, anxiety appears. All of this can be the result of that very morning choice. And what is especially sad is that none of this is done out of malice. We sincerely want to do the right thing. We think that fast carbs in the morning are energy, that a cheese sandwich is protein, that yogurt with fruit is healthy. But in reality, it's like pouring boiling water on cold glass. It feels warm, but the glass can crack. The heart, especially after 60, does not forgive haste. It does not like sudden starts. And breakfast is the start, the first step of the day. And if it is heavy, loaded with sugar or fat, the heart remembers. And over time, it begins to give up. Let's open the refrigerator and the shelf with cereals. What do we see? Flakes, muesli, a bun or bread, cottage cheese, yogurt, a banana, jam, sometimes sausage, cheese, butter. Everything is familiar. Everything seems right. But as soon as you start to analyze every detail, it becomes alarming. Take muesli, for example, a dry mixture of oat flakes, nuts, raisins, maybe seeds. It all sounds like the perfect breakfast. But manufacturers add molasses, syrup, flavorings, and sugar-coated dried fruit. The result is a high-calorie, sweet mixture that sharply raises blood sugar levels. At such moments, the heart works in overload mode. It contracts more often and blood pressure rises, and instead of energy, we get accelerated aging of blood vessels. Let's take toast with jam for comparison. Light, morning, convenient. But if you look closely at the composition of the jam, there is not a single berry in the true sense of the word. There is sugar, and a little fruit puree. It is a sweet syrup that enters the bloodstream within a few minutes. And bread, especially white bread, it's pure flour. No fiber, no nutritional value, no slowing down of digestion. The result is sugar on top of sugar, and the heart is forced to pump this flow out quickly. Now let's look at yogurt. It would seem to be milk, calcium, and probiotics. But most often, the shelves are lined with fruit yogurts that are sweet, flavored, and brightly colored. And if the package says no sugar, that's no guarantee. There may be sweeteners, And the heart can't tell the difference between natural sugar and a chemically active substitute. Either one is a signal to work harder. Sausage and cheese seem like a good choice for those who want a non-sweet breakfast. But there's another trap here. Fat, especially hidden animal fat. It thickens the blood and makes it harder for the blood vessels to work. And in the morning, when the body is still warming up, fat weighs down the entire body. The heart has to carry this ballast. What is the result? It turns out that many of us have been eating not breakfast, but a mini blow to the body for years. First, to the blood vessels, then to blood pressure, and then to the heart itself. And there is no need to blame yourself. That's how we were taught. We were told that if we eat in the morning, we will be strong, but they didn't specify what to eat. And understanding labels, ingredients, and glycemic indexes is not a task for everyone, especially when your eyes have just opened and your body is still asleep. But the truth remains, breakfast can only be healthy if it is honest. Not on the packaging, but in reality, without hidden enemies, without slick slogans and fitness promises. And before you put something in your mouth, ask yourself one question. Can my heart handle this? Not just in words. Not because everyone eats that way, but because it really doesn't overload you. It doesn't raise your blood pressure. It doesn't deceive your body. Because if breakfast starts with deception, the whole day goes downhill. Your heart works over time. Your blood is like sticky syrup. Your blood vessels are like old rubber bands. And all this because of a couple of spoonfuls of healthy porridge or a fruit drink. Breakfast is not magic or a ritual. It is a moment when the body is vulnerable, and it is at this moment that you can help it, or conversely, harm it. The heart in mature age is not a broken motor, but an experienced worker who is simply tired of overload. It continues to beat as best it can, day after day. But over the years, it becomes less patient and less resilient, especially in the morning. Let's imagine the body wakes up. All processes are just starting to kick in. The kidneys slowly start filtering. The liver comes out of night duty mode, and the brain is not yet fully awake. But the heart is already up and running. It has to pump blood, revive the body, and chase away sleep. And at this moment, we put the first thing we find into our stomachs. Often, it is hot, sweet, and fatty. To put it mildly, it's not exactly what the heart wants. The first hour after waking up is like getting on the highway after a long parking. If you press the gas pedal suddenly, the car will cough. The same thing happens to the heart. It is not yet warmed up, but is already forced to work at high speeds. This is especially true if sugar, caffeine, sodium, or saturated fats enter the bloodstream suddenly. Many people believe that coffee in the morning is invigorating, but in reality, it puts a strain on the blood vessels. This is especially true when combined with a sandwich, pastry, or milk porridge. Caffeine constricts blood vessels, and food requires them to expand for digestion. This is a conflict, and it is our poor pump, the heart, that has to resolve it. Now imagine a breakfast with sausage, or smoked meats, or even diet cheeses. They contain salt, a lot of it, much more than the body wants to see in the morning. And salt means swelling, high blood pressure, and vasospasms. Everything the heart tries to avoid, but it has no choice. It pumps everything we put into it. Even hot food, if it is heavy and abundant, sends a signal to the body, get ready for a fight. And if it's sweet, the body perceives it as a threat. Glucose spikes instantly, insulin is released, blood thickens, and blood vessels constrict. And all this happens on an empty stomach, when the body would be better off with just a glass of warm water and a few breaths. Now let's add another important factor: age-related changes. After the age of 60, blood vessels lose their elasticity. They are no longer as flexible as they used to be. The walls become stiffer, the lumens narrow. This means that any stress, even minimal, is felt more strongly. And what seemed like a minor inconvenience at 40 becomes a serious challenge at 60. The heart does not need a holiday on an empty stomach. It needs time, a gentle awakening, a soft start to the day. But instead, We often give it a marathon. And every heavy breakfast is like another step down the energy ladder. The heart is tired and we continue to add fuel to the fire. We don't notice it right away. The first month, everything seems fine. Then comes the pressure, then fatigue. And after a year or two, it's off to the cardiologist, and pills for the pills. But there is another way. You don't have to make breakfast your enemy. Make it your ally. Give your heart what it needs. Don't test its strength every morning. Instead, give it a chance to start the day calmly, because the heart doesn't need luxury. It asks for only one thing. Don't interfere with its life. If you turn on the TV or flip through brochures from pharmacies, you will hear familiar phrases. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Eat porridge, dairy products, and fruit. Get your energy boost in the morning. It all sounds appealing. But behind the scenes of advertising, there is silence. Where real experts speak, the conversation takes on a completely different tone. Many modern cardiologists, nutritionists, and gerontologists agree on one thing. With age, the body needs not only less food, but also a more sensible approach to the first meal of the day. This is especially true when it comes to heart health, and especially when it comes to breakfast. Scientific observations show that those who start the day with light, gentle food have lower levels of inflammation in their blood vessels, more stable blood pressure, and better cholesterol levels. But this is not mentioned on TV, because healthy breakfast has long been a product. It has been packaged, sold, and surrounded by an illusion of health benefits. And to destroy this illusion means to argue with the huge food industry machine. But the truth is that it's not breakfast that makes us healthy, but how it is structured. There is no universal dish that suits everyone, but there are clear rules that independent doctors insist on. The first is not to overload the body immediately after waking up. This means that heavy, fatty, fried, or microwaved food is not a morning gift to the body, but a challenge. The heart perceives this as an alarm signal, especially if the night was restless, sleep was shallow, or you woke up already stressed. Second, avoid sharp spikes in blood sugar. All sweet cereals, sweetened yogurts, bread with honey, and fruit smoothies are a blow to the pancreas and blood vessels. Glucose levels rise sharply, and the heart must immediately adapt, beating faster and working harder. Third, avoid dense combinations of fats and carbohydrates. For example, bread with butter and cheese, or a bun with cheese and sausage. Such foods are difficult to digest, cause fermentation, blood thickening, and increase blood pressure. And worst of all, these dishes are considered filling and nutritious because they have been eaten for decades. But times are changing. What once seemed normal becomes a heavy burden with age. Doctors who work with real people rather than advertising are increasingly talking about this. They see patients who come to them complaining of weakness, heart palpitations, ringing in the ears, and then it turns out that it didn't start yesterday. It all started with a habit: eating the old way. These doctors don't appear on TV shows. They rarely make it into the newspapers, but they tell the truth. With age, the body becomes fragile. And morning is not the time to recharge, but the time to take care of yourself. Give your body support, not stress, and start the day not with heavy food, but with lightness. The heart knows how to be grateful. When it is given silence, it beats more evenly. When there is no pressure from within, it breathes freely. And when breakfast becomes soft, neutral, moderate, the whole body responds with calm. Blood pressure is stable, mood is stable. The brain is clear. And inside, there is no anxiety that arises when the heart is not coping. Science does not sell porridge. It talks about balance. And if you listen carefully, you can hear something very simple. The heart does not ask for much. It asks that you do not interfere with it. If you feel a little confused right now, that's normal. We've been used to certain things for decades, and now suddenly we hear that everything is different. But change doesn't mean breaking. Rebuilding doesn't mean giving up on yourself. On the contrary, it's an opportunity to finally start taking care of yourself in a real way. The first thing to understand is that breakfast is not a sacred ritual. It's just the first meal of the day. It can be light. It doesn't have to be right after you wake up. It doesn't even have to be breakfast if your body isn't ready for it. It all depends on how you feel inside, not what's written on the cereal box. If your heart sounds dull in the morning, if you wake up feeling heavy, if your mouth is dry and your head is noisy, then you need to slow down. Don't stuff yourself with a sandwich. Don't rush for coffee. Take a sip of warm water. Walk around. Breathe. Let your body wake up. Let your heart gently pick up speed without straining, and then give it something that won't make it work an alarm. Simple, warm, living foods. A little. Just enough to sustain you. To get the blood flowing more easily. To give your body support, not a kick. You don't need a perfect recipe. You need common sense. What won't overload you? What isn't sticky, heavy, or sickly sweet? It could be boiled vegetables, a soft boiled egg, a few grains or nuts, a little bit of soft porridge but without sugar, a spoonful of oil, not butter, but vegetable oil. Don't fry or burn it. Just feed yourself, don't attack yourself. Your body will respond quickly. You will immediately feel the heaviness leave. Your breathing will become more even. Your eyes will truly open rather than just staring at the wall. And your heart, it will beat without straining, without panic. It will thank you. The mood in which you eat is also important. Morning is a time for quiet, not for rushing, not for holding your phone in one hand and a spoon in the other, not for news or worrying thoughts. It is a time for calm. Breakfast should not be another task. It should be a gesture of love for yourself. If you ate sweet cereal yesterday, don't blame yourself. If you ate cheese and bread today, it's not the end of the world. Everything comes gradually, step by step. Just know that you have the right to choose. Not because it's trendy, but because you want to live with a heart that doesn't scream from within. You don't have to change everything, just one thing. For example, cut out sugar, or stop eating fatty foods on an empty stomach, or at least start your day with water instead of food. Any step sends a signal to your body. I hear you, and your heart hears you in response. Switching to this kind of breakfast isn't about food. It's about respect. Respect for yourself, your body, your age, your experience. Because maturity is not a time to be afraid. It's a time to choose. Sometimes we live as if our body is a machine. We start it up in the morning, fill it with whatever we can find, and let it run. But a machine will break down, and it can be replaced. The heart cannot. It has only one life, one rhythm, one chance every morning to start over. And it remembers everything we do to it, even if we forget. It doesn't ask for expensive medicine. It doesn't require complicated procedures. It doesn't need anything exotic, just a little attention, a little care. And morning is the best time to show that care. Each of us has the right to choose how our day will begin. With heaviness or with lightness. With overload or with gentle energy. With anxiety or with inner harmony. It all starts with a simple choice. Not at the pharmacy, not at the doctor's office, but in the kitchen, between the kettle and the refrigerator. The heart is not just a muscle, it is the diary of our lives. Everything is recorded in it. Joy, anxiety, resentment, worry. And every morning is like a new page. How we start it is how the whole day will sound. If you want to live longer, easier, and calmer, you don't have to wait for Monday. No need to go on a diet. Just stop in the morning and ask yourself, is this good for me or bad? The heart doesn't ask for much. It just wants to be close. Don't hurt it with habits that are time to let go of. Don't scare it with healthy illusions. And if you give it a little freedom, a little peace, and the right start to the day, it will respond with what it does best. It will live. For you. For those around you. for each new day. If you've listened to this, it means you care, and that's already a start. The heart is a grateful companion. It does not seek revenge for the past. It rejoices in the present. Give it a chance. Tomorrow morning, pause for a moment. Look at your plate and ask yourself, am I helping myself right now? Or am I just repeating the same old thing? One breakfast won't solve everything, but it can be the first step toward a new day, toward a new life, to your true self. Like this video if you found it helpful. Subscribe if you want more simple and honest advice for health and strength, after 60 and beyond, and most importantly, don't forget, the heart lives as long as it is heard. Hear yours.